I often get asked about the perfect CV format for Germany that is preferred by the German HR. To be honest, there isn't one standard CV format in Germany. However, there is a resume format that German HR loves to see. And using this format can help you get more job interviews. So in this video, I will share what I believe is the perfect German CV format. I'll discuss the different sections, what to include, and most importantly, the one mistake that can get your German CV rejected in seconds. Let's start with the layout of the format. Most international students and job seekers often use the Europass CV format. This is a good starting point, but there are a few things which need fixing in order to be perfect for use in Germany. So this German CV format has a two-column structure. This structure helps you use one of the most powerful things which most beginners ignore, and that is negative space. Have a look at these two blocks of text. Which do you think is easier to read? Enough negative space enhances visual hierarchy and allows the readers to focus on the key elements. And this is exactly what we want for HR. We want to guide their eyes to focus on the most important thing. In the case of our German CV format, the two-column layout gives us enough negative space to direct the eyes of the HR towards the important things. Next, we have the design elements. I would not be wrong to say that you are probably applying for a job or a student position in IT, engineering, or perhaps finance positions. Here, a plain design having white background, black or some shade of grey for text, and perhaps one other color, mostly blue to make things interesting, would be used. No fancy icons or colorful bullet points. Plain and simple, Brezelmutbutter, just the way the German HR likes it. Next, we have the length of the CV. The German HR loves a CV that is between 1 to 2 pages. Now, if you try to make a resume that is just one page, you would have to cram everything together. You would be using every single visual space on the page. If you do this, you would not be able to use negative space to your advantage, and you would probably overwhelm the person looking at your CV, resulting in, well, not being considered. So if you're using proper spacing and formatting for your CV, it would be at least 2 pages long. Here you might be tempted to make your resume 3 or 4 pages long, but that's again not good. If you are highly experienced or have many certifications, you should only mention the ones that are relevant to what you're applying for. And if you have many things which are relevant, just pick the most recent ones. The next point is not directly connected with the German CV format, but it's quite essential. But before I share that, please hit the like button if you're getting value from this video and consider subscribing. Alright, the next point is the language of your CV. Should you write your CV in German or English? It's quite a dilemma. On one hand, if your German CV is in actual German language, it could open more doors for you, but on the other hand, this also increases the expectations of your German language proficiency. As an international in Germany, you may never actually become fluent in German, but this shouldn't keep you from writing your CV in German language. Here you have to be honest with yourself and give a realistic assessment. A simple scenario that helped me answer the question of whether I should write my CV in English or German was, what if someone called me on the phone to set up an interview? How comfortable would I be to answer the questions? This actually happened to me. I had applied somewhere with a CV written in English. A lady called me to set up an in-person interview, but also asked some questions about me, like my educational background, my student projects, and basic stuff about my hobbies, etc. I was able to answer these questions quite easily in German. I know my answers weren't perfect, but I was comfortable enough. From that day, I only applied with a German CV. I did mention that I had a B1 German proficiency, so any honest HR would not expect fluent German from you. Let's shift gears and talk about the content of the German CV format preferred by the German HR. On the top, we have the full name and then the up-to-date important personal information like your phone number and email so that you can be contacted. Generally, on the right-hand side is the photo. Now, Germany has laws against discrimination, so if you're not comfortable, then don't add it. However, I would recommend you to attach one. The law is there, but I'm not sure how it can be actually enforced. I would actually prefer to be rejected directly from my CV by someone who would discriminate against me just by looking at my picture, rather than me waiting for my time to get an interview and get rejected at a later stage just because of discrimination. That's why having a picture is very essential. Here, most people, especially from the subcontinent, post their passport photos. Those real low-resolution photos with blue background looking at the camera like, don't add those passport photos, please. If possible, get a professional photo. You can get a professional photo taken at a reasonable price. But I remember back in my student days, there was an offer from my university to get a free professional photo. I also got my professional photos done. Personally, I did not like how they turned out, but I thought maybe the professional would know better. So I used that picture in my resume. Weirdly, in one of my interviews, the HR manager told me that in person, I had absolutely no resemblance with my resume photo. The photo made me look 5 to 10 years older. This is that photo. Let me know in the comments if you would have used that photo if you were me. I think even a professional photo is not necessary. Most people can do post-productions with the photos themselves. You can take a selfie or ask a friend to take a photo. Make sure that you have good lighting, preferably outside with some greenery in the background. No t-shirt, perhaps a polo like this or a collared shirt. And make sure that you smile and show some teeth if possible. This would make you more friendly and approachable. Ideally, your phone should be able to give you a great result, but if you think it's missing something, you can use a free website to make some quick changes. After that, we have the motivation or professional profile section. This is a topic that divides opinion. Some believe that the perfect German CV format should include this section, while others consider it unnecessary. In my opinion, a profile summary isn't essential, but if you choose to include it, avoid overloading it with keywords. Some people think that stuffing their resume with all the keywords from the job posting, they'll be selected by the resume screening software. Let's assume the software does pick your CV. It still gets forwarded to HR. Here, an actual person reviews it. If it's just filled with keywords, HR will likely reject it without much consideration. Instead, aim for 3 to 4 concise sentences that highlight the most relevant aspect of the job posting. Then we have professional experience and education section. Depending on whether you're applying for an educational or professional purpose, the positioning of the two sections can be exchanged. For student positions, you can put the education section first if you don't have much experience which is relevant to the student job or thesis position you're applying for. For both the sections, on the left you have the time frame, so the start and end dates. Only the month and the year would be sufficient. Talking about the content, you have to follow the reverse chronological order. So the latest thing would come first. In the experience section, for each job, first mention the title, the company name, and then the city. After that, list your responsibilities and achievements in bullet points. Quantify your achievements with numbers and percentages to make them more impactful. Use a professional tone and avoid generical phrases like team player or detail-oriented. Also use strong action verbs to describe your accomplishments and demonstrate your leadership and initiative. Use a variety of verbs to keep the language engaging and interesting. If you have a lot of experience, just stick with the most recent 3 or 4 positions. Because the HR reading your resume doesn't have much time to look deep into everything. Some people might even take it negatively. I can speak of that from personal experience. A while back, a student contacted me regarding a thesis position that we had in our company. The students shared their resume with me. They had so much information saying that they were perfectly skilled with 6 or 7 different programming languages. They were able to do circuit designing, measuring station development, software development, microcontroller programming, Android app development, so many things. It might be possible that this student knew all of those things, and it's totally possible that this student was really skilled. However, it's highly unlikely that someone with so many skills is really good at every single thing. Yeah, everyone embellishes their resume a little bit, but be careful because that might also be a really negative point for you. You can also get help from language models, but make sure that you're using the right prompt. And even after that, try to change the language which you would use. You don't want to give a robotic vibe. In the education section, first is the degree, then the institution, and if you have relevant courses or projects, then a couple of bullet points mentioning them. If you are applying for a student position or if it's your first job, then you should put your grades as well. Otherwise, it's not necessary. If you have any certifications which are relevant, then you can mention them here as well. Don't forget to add your software competence in the skills section. The two next sections, which most internationals ignore but are essential in the German CV and the German HR also takes notice, are the language and hobbies section. As a foreigner, it's absolutely essential to have the language section. Make sure that you include your German proficiency level based on the European framework. You don't have to mention individual levels for reading, writing, etc. Just the overall score would be sufficient if you have given an exam. You might not think that hobbies is an important section, but believe me, it plays an important role. especially if you don't have much work experience. Every single point that you put in your hobbies section can mean something else. For example, if you write down that you like reading books, this can relate to you being good at reading a lot of documentation. Many hobbies can relate to other skills this way. I remember a while back me and my colleagues were looking at a CV. Everything was quite good, but one colleague pointed out that this resume didn't have a hobbies section. He said, how is it possible that one doesn't have hobbies? In the end, this person wasn't picked. Now, I can't say for sure whether this was the main reason, but I can definitely say that it did have some influence. As I mentioned in the start, there's one thing that will get your German CV rejected within seconds, and that is mistakes in your resume. If the German HR sees even a single spelling mistake, you can say goodbye to your application. Having mistakes in your CV can create a negative impression on potential employers. It's a signal of lack of attention to details and may make you appear unprofessional. Errors can also confuse hiring managers or affect how your resume is processed by the screening software. Ultimately, even small mistakes can reduce your chances of standing out in a competitive job market. Now, if you have stuck around till this part of the video, I really appreciate it. And as a thank you, I am putting a link to download this German CV format for free. And if you are one of the lucky ones who is able to get a contract, it's very important to understand it before you sign it. In this video, I share what you should do before signing a work contract in Germany. Thanks for watching, bleib gesund, and I'll see you in this video.